saying that I'm actually not a fractional CTO. Um, I'm a full-time CTO. I want to be a fractional CTO. That's why I joined this group, and because that's and what I'm going to be talking about is actually not very much technology. It's just like I'm at a stage in my life where I'm focusing on like a bunch of things, and I just been thinking that they've all been have kind of common themes, and maybe that's why I ended up doing what I do, right? So I'm currently the CTO at a company called Snippet Sentry. We are a really small startup. We service regulated companies like financial industries that are compliant, that have compliance regulations to capture business communications, and we help do that. And we've been in market for about a year and a half, and this year's been pretty good in terms of growth for us. And next year, who knows what will happen, but I'm actually hoping for it to get somewhere so that I can go become a fractional CTO. Right? Anyway, so without much ado, it's like I'm going to be talking about three topics here. Tech, I just talked about it a little bit. I'll expand on that. Then two completely non-tech areas that I've been spending a lot of time on: mountain climbing and martial arts. And why do I want to talk about them at a CTO, fractional CTO forum, right? Uh, kind of things kind of made sense to me a little bit, so hopefully they make sense to you. And I'll talk a little bit about the tech that I use. I'm not going to go into detail. Some of the tech that I'm in my copious spare time that I'm kind of poking at. So without much other ado, why am I calling this the other entrepreneurial journey, right? You always hear about this unicorns, right? Wow, they started in a garage shop, 5 man, they're a $5 billion company. Well, you know what? I haven't had that. So, but I've had a bunch of experiences that have shaped my technical background, my experience, and what I bring to the table. I'm by training more of a hardware guy, more of electronics, board level things like that. I started and I was building lasers for my grad work, medical lasers, and I started writing code only, I don't know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, something like that, right? And figuring out bit versus byte. And now these days I'm fairly full stack. Like I can do board bring ups, go all the way up to cloud stuff and muck around in between, right? And so I'm pretty hands-on. That's why I spend most of my time in startups because like I'm the CTO, I'm the chief architect, chief developer, chief bottle washer, pretty much everything, right? I've been in larger organizations. I've worked for the government. Thousands of people get lost there. I've led global teams. I got stuck in people management day in and day out, decided that was not for me. Anyway, I've worn many, many hats, product management, VP engineering. I had my own startup, which didn't go anywhere. So yet another non-unicorn, right? And then most recently, I've been CTOs at small startups, and that skin seems to fit for me. Okay. Most of what I've learned is by matter of elimination of what not to do. Right. I've been around the block many, many times, and many times I have made mistakes. Then I said, Ujwal, don't do that again. All right. Or I've seen other people make mistakes. Let's not do that. Right. And it kind of starts. It's like distilling, right? Finally it distills down to like, okay, what are your core principles that you want to, go forward with building a team, building a product, blah blah blah. As I said, I've been in a series of non-unicorns, but they've all been fun. I would never take away from that any of those experiences. I've been a single man engineer. I've had teams, blah blah blah. I've had political battles, technical challenges. Been there, done that, seen them all, right? The tagline there at the hero here is like, embrace uncertainty is what I want to get out of this slide, right? And keep it fun, because if you're not having fun in your what you do in your day-to-day life, then stop doing it. Do something else, right? And I've had this thought come to me many times. So like, I'm not having fun in this company anymore. I'm not having fun in this job anymore, or in this role anymore, or in this technology anymore. Because okay, then I try to do something else. I've left companies because I'm not having fun, right? Stop doing other things that because I'm not having fun. So I think the theme here is that you really need to, do it because you want to do it. So some of the tech that I use, I'm not going to go through all the details here. Mostly I'm in enterprise SaaS architectures, even at the company that I'm at right now. Um, our backend is based on a microservices architecture, loosely coupled applications talking to each other over message buses. I've kind of put together this tech stack over the years, and I've taken it to multiple organizations, and I have found that it actually has worked really well for me. Okay, and I'm happy to talk to people if they're interested. I found that it's really flexible to add new features, really horizontally scalable. Challenges are training engineers on that kind of an architecture. It's not necessarily easy to grok, right? Um, and then also data management, cross-domain data management, transactional data across services is a pain in the ass, to be honest, right? Um, GraphQL API, I can talk about that. Graph versus REST. I'm mostly GraphQL, but there's pros and cons to both, right? Front end is Vue. It's nice, better than React, but I'm getting a little bit cumbersome, at least in our implementation. I don't think it's necessarily the problem of the framework, but how we are using it. I'm starting to investigate micro front ends because I did microservices in the back end, kind of looking at to do microservices in the front end. So we'll see how that goes. I cut my teeth on board level languages, right? C and assembly, Pascal for application. It ages me, I know. Mostly in the Node ecosystem these days. I love it and hate it. At some point, it's going to. Why I hate it is it's too fragmented, the JavaScript ecosystem. The dynamic typing has its uses if you're using it as a scripting language, but doesn't have its uses when you're writing professional code, actually. So could never get past. So TypeScript is good, but just the fragmentation is going to drive me away eventually. I'm on the hunt for the next thing to do. It's just that this ecosystem has so much, is so rich, right? I mean, it's like the NPM repository is like the biggest code repository in the world, right? And like there's a package for everything, right? Good, bad, or ugly. Eventually, I'll find something else, but it has worked for me, so that's why I said it mostly works. But it has. I've been able to take enterprise grade products to market with this, so can't really whine too much. Okay. All right. Tech that, as I said, I'm looking to get away from that. I'm much more of a compiled, typed, strongly typed, compiled language kind of guy, and I'm a language geek. But I like the expressiveness and syntax of interpreted languages. So I kind of trying to find the best of both worlds. I've been looking at these three for a while now. Mojo is particularly interesting given the wave of AI, wanting to do everything, or people wanting to use AI for everything. This was actually created by the guy who created LLVM, MLIR, compiler systems, Swift, right? That's the guy, so Chris Latner. Looks very interesting. I'm still trying to wrap my head around purely functional languages and see where they can actually are of value. Of course, there are, there are Erlang, Haskell, and all of those guys. There are products out there. It's just that sometimes it's just they put too many restrictions on the way you have to write code. Then monads are still like, hey, what the hell is that? So, but I do want to kind of migrate there eventually. So I'm still learning. been around the block many, many times, but I just want to keep learning, right? So that's kind of the theme here. So away from tech now, okay? Aikido. Why am I talking about Aikido here? I've been practicing Aikido almost 30 years. I started off in grad school. I train in a dojo in Livermore. I'm one of the instructors there. And what I learn on the mat, I find that I can bring that off the mat into a work environment, into the boardroom, right? Uh, being able to breathe through difficult situations, being able to be calm and stay focused does actually hone your ability to react in a meeting, in a board meeting, when there are conflicting views going around, or if there's lack of data or too much data, how do you get to a decision? Because on the mat, when you're doing, like, you feel everything. You have to listen to your opponent who's attacking you and say, okay, in that sense, in that instant, you need to make a decision on how you're going to react, right? And so decision making is enhanced, I feel, with a training such as that. Conflict resolution is very much a key driver from, I mean, that a key learning from, at least from my training. Actually, a lot of my more senior teachers, some of them are, consultants to corporate boards in teaching them how to do conflict resolution and decision making. So clearly, there's something there. Listening to your opponent, Aikido is all about redirecting your opponent's energy and coming to a peaceful end of the conflict, right? Or trying not to make a conflict. So you have to listen. So you have to listen to the other person expressing whatever their views are, whether it's physical or whether it's verbal, right? And being able to react to that and in a non-confrontational way. So again, the tagline here is like, adapt to challenges. Don't resist just because you're not agreeing with the way you're thinking, right? And just see, okay, why is that a person expressing that view, and how do I see it from his view, and how do I adapt myself, right? Sounds a little bit corny, but actually it does work for me. The last pillar, I was telling these guys before the new people came on board. I started climbing about almost 4 years ago. I have college-age kids, so you can guess how old I am. So having to, and the reason I did that was I was undergoing some personal issues, stress, and suddenly I felt like I need to de-stress. Aikido was just not doing it enough for me. I needed something else, right? And okay, I don't know why the mountain's called, but they did, okay? And I've been climbing like a madman for the past 3.5 years, 4 years. And these are some of my things: Kilimanjaro base camp, the bottom one in the Alps. But for me to get there, I had to pretty much reinvent myself, right? Physically, mentally, like it's a very challenging environment to be in, but it's also a very meditative environment to be in. Like, when you're in there, it really calms your mind. It allows you to just focus on what you're doing, and I think that helps outside the mountains as well. Like reinventing yourself is stuff. Sometimes companies get a certain stage. I think we talked about it just now. It's like post Series D, right? Now they've got all this baggage, all of this stuff, and so like, no, we can't yet. No, what if the market demands a reinvention of how you're thinking, what your offering is, right? It's a scary thing to do, but I think if you have the intestinal fortitude to do that, I think you will come out better as an organization. You can't just go shoot from the hip. You got to prepare. You got to plan, right? You can't. I see this in smaller companies all the time, right? Where, oh, this is P0 now. Oh no, this is P1 priority now. Let's go do that, right? And it's like, what's the plan? How have you prepared? What's your go to market? What's your pricing? Forget about the tech, right? What is your architecture when it comes to tech, right? So those are the questions. And even in my own organization that right now, like I've seen this a lot, like, oh, let's P1, let's go do it. Like, okay, have you thought about, okay, we were just doing this. That's why I was asking you that question. We were just doing this. What do you want me to do now? Like, how are you going to squeeze this? How are you going to sell this now, right? How are you going to price this, right? So preparation takes a lot. In the mountains, I have failed in climbing more peaks than I have succeeded climbing. My most recent failure was 2 months ago. I tried to go up Mount Rainier. Didn't happen. I got up to 11,400 feet, had to turn back. It will continue happening, but you can't give up because you couldn't do it, right? That was 11,400 feet was my internal summit. It was not the physical summit, but it was my internal summit. I had to go back. So failure, when certain things happen in an organization, in a smaller company, like and some things don't work out, breathe through it. Breathe through it. And as long as it's not a catastrophic company killing thing, right? Just work it through, and see what else do we need to do? How do we pivot, right? I have my own. I pivoted like 3 times. Not that my company made it, but I wasn't scared to pivot, right? And sometimes people think that they're very bullish about certain things, right? It's like, okay, it didn't work. Go do something that could work, right? So anyway, so that's my mountaineering story. Connecting the dots here, right? For me, this has been a personal journey. Growth, self-mastery, how to be a better leader in a corporate environment. How to balance my life. That's why I want to be a fractional CTO, right? I want to be able to do tech. I want to be able to do climbing. I want to continue my Aikido training and hopefully achieve some Zen. So that's my talk. If you didn't like it, you can blame ChatGPT because that's the one that gave me the outline. Huh? Thank you. Yeah.